Greetings, loyal subscribers and honoured guests. So, welcome to another episode of First Look Fridays, which this week is going to be the last episode of the current series. I always intended when I started doing these just to do 10 to start with, to see how I got on with them and see how they performed. And to be honest, they haven't performed terribly well, but I've quite enjoyed making them because they give me an excuse to try out lots of interesting games that I haven't played before for a while. Not necessarily brand new games completely, although sometimes that's the case. But at the very least, they're new to me, and they're on modern platforms. So the last episode I'm doing this week is about a game called Praey for the Gods. And Praey is spelt Praey, which is a bit unusual. It doesn't look like that on the logo, but if you look on the Steam page, then that is how it's spelt. So let's get on with looking at the game itself. And as you start it off, there are a lot of options for difficulty, really. And I've just stuck with easy for the time being. Because I'm not a big fan, really, of survival games where you can die of hypothermia or thirst or hunger. And if you want it to, this game can have all those things. And it's also got weapon degradation and exhaustion as well. But for now, I decided to stick it on easy, I think. I've gone to normal here. I might have left it on normal, actually. Yeah, I did. I put it on normal, which is still fairly easy, and then story so that it doesn't prove too frustrating just for my first play. And I'm not going to reveal exactly what this game is to you just yet, because if you haven't heard of it before, I want it to be a bit of a surprise. It takes about 15 minutes to actually get to where the game is properly kicking off. Well, some of that I was faffing around because I accidentally turned off the controller, there we go, and then had to turn it back on again. But I'll go to where I enter this cave for the first time and just show off some of the environmental graphics before I jump ahead to where the game starts proper, really, because this is, I haven't said yet, but this is running on my Steam Deck, and it's fully Steam Deck verified and runs very nicely. I haven't really tweaked any of the settings. Everything is pretty much sort of set to medium by default when you start the game, and I haven't seen any reason to drop it to below that to get it to run better. In handheld mode, I might be tempted to lock it to 40 frames per second just to get better battery life, but I haven't actually tried playing this handheld at all to see what kind of drain it has on the battery. But yeah, as you can see, it's set in a sort of Norse environment. I think it's based on Norse mythology, like lots of games have been recently. And one of the things I was struggling with here were the controls a little bit, because where the game was telling me to press certain buttons, I was finding that in actuality my buttons were reversed. So where it says the bottom button there, I actually had to press the right button, and I think it was because I'm using a 8BitDo Ultimate Bluetooth controller, which the Steam Deck sees as a Switch Pro controller, and those have sort of reversed button inputs compared to an Xbox controller, and it was seeing it like Switch buttons, which was a bit annoying, to be honest, because I kept on sort of trying to press the button that it prompted me to, and then I would often press the wrong one. So yeah, although RB is correct for climbing, one of the options that you can set in the difficulty is climbing, whether you need to press any button at all or whether you'll just automatically start climbing and stick to the wall. or whether you need to press RB to start climbing and let go, and also if you have to hold down RB all the while when you're climbing. So yeah, there's quite a lot of different accessibility and difficulty options. And now I've found a grappling gun, which is quite useful, and the rune on the wall here unveils an area on the map, and that sort of swirling maelstrom there is where I'm supposed to be going. So let me see how far into the video we are. I've still got a way, so I'm just going to scroll ahead and get to the action proper. Still a few more minutes away. So here we go. This is where what I consider the real game kicks off. You activate another one of those thingies, like buttons, and it wakes up a well, for want of a better word, a colossus. So this game is pretty much a spiritual successor to Shadow of the Colossus on the PlayStation systems, although it also borrows quite a lot of aspects from Zelda Breath of the Wild as well, in particular a sailcloth which allows you to glide. You don't get that till you've defeated this first boss, but as you can see, these huge monsters have lots of hair on them. Well, the early ones do anyway, and you can use the hair to climb up their bodies, and then you have to find the weak points, and you don't stab them, you pull them out and ram them in as forcefully as you can, like you did with that one in the cave earlier. And once you've found all the weak points and done that to them, then you have slain the monster, and yeah, you go back to the hub and set off to slay the next one. This first one is pretty easy, and it does remind me a lot actually of the first monster in Shadow of the Colossus. I've fallen off there because the controls messed me up again. You have to mash a certain button to grip, and of course I was mashing the wrong button because of the messed up controls, but I'll get the hang of that pretty soon. Before I recorded this video here, I did check out the IGN review of this game, and the reviewer really didn't like it, giving it just a 4 out of 10, and he said that the controls are sluggish and clunky, and that the survival aspects make playing the game annoying, really, and the weapon degradation is far too frequent. Your weapons are constantly breaking. But I think that review must have been based on a much earlier version of the game, because this actually came out in December of 2021, and so that's plenty of time for them to update, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if they added all those difficulty options in response to negative feedback that it was too difficult or annoying for people. Yeah, I have to say I didn't really find the controls sluggish. My only issue was the incorrect buttons, but that's not the game's fault. That's the mapping of the Pro controller. So I'll just get to the point where I do slay this guy, and then there's quite a lot of exploring before I find the next Colossus. So I'll probably skip over some of that. I'll show you a little bit, because the world is quite cool to look at, no pun intended. It's a very icy world, as you can tell, but I'm almost dead now, but I think I do manage to kill him successfully. And much like Shadow of the Colossus, the story that's going on is something of a mystery at the beginning, and as you slay more and more of these creatures, it becomes clearer and clearer what's I've fallen off again. What's going on? I think I'm checking if I've got any health items, and I don't. Maybe I do actually die. I didn't think I did, but it's not looking good. No, I think I've got it. So, yeah. Usually in these early battles, and this was true of Shadow of the Colossus, you find that these monsters have sort of convenient natural shelves up their body where you can pause briefly and refill your stamina. Because if you run out of stamina mid-climb, then you'll lose grip and go falling. But you can see in his torso there's an area that you can stand and recover your stamina a little bit before moving on to the top. Yeah, you have to be quite patient in this game, as which was true of the original game as well. These battles can go on for quite a long time if you don't know what you're doing and you're just trying to beat them for the first time. So I haven't quite destroyed this weak point yet. I think one more time should do it, and then there's another one, I think. So yeah, it takes a while to beat this chap, but I think this does a good job of capturing the feeling of Shadow of the Colossus quite well. So you can see the next weak point is shining up on his right shoulder there, so I'm trying to get up there, but he's shaking me around again. And I think the design of the Colossi is good. It's definitely reminiscent of the Team Eco's designs for their Colossi, but just different enough to be not a complete plagiarism of that game. A couple more times should get it. I'm dangerously close to running out of stamina, but I think one more time after this and I should get him. Oh, I nearly fell off there, but I think I just about managed to get away with it there. And bang, is that him dead, or is there another one? There may be one more on the top of his head. Yeah, so we're not quite done yet. But I'll let this fight play out, and then I'll show you a little bit of the open world exploration where I was trying to find the second Colossi, and then I'll show you a little bit of that fight, and we'll wrap it after that. I did struggle a lot more with the second fight because to start with I couldn't work out what I'm supposed to be doing, but that's all part of these games, isn't it? You need to sort of puzzle out how you're going to damage the creature to begin with. Well, here we go. Starting to learn which button is which now. He's nearly dead. I think two more whacks and I've got him. Although if you don't get the timing right, it doesn't actually hurt him. You need to press it right as it's out. So yeah, I've got him this time. And yeah, the way they die is quite reminiscent of Shadow of the Colossus as well. The slow-mo falling down, and then I think you pass out and a wolf drags you back to the starting area. So I'm guessing the spelling of the word Praey in the title is to indicate a sort of double meaning. So you could be pray for the gods, or it could be telling you that you should pray for the gods because they're going to be killed. So yeah, I'm guess that's why they've done that. But it's a bit of a weird way to spell the word when you're trying to search for the game on Google, for example. Oh, and I should also mention that how I discovered this game as well, because at the moment Humble Bundle have a new bundle to celebrate International Women's Day that happened a few days ago actually, but the bundle's still up at the moment, and it's a bunch of games where they have female main protagonists. And as well as this one, it includes games like Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, and I can't remember what else there is. Dreamscaper, which is an interesting sort of Diablo action RPG type thing. I think there's 8 games in total, and the minimum spend is £13. So that's pretty good value for all these games. I know this game isn't exactly a very long one. I think it's about 5 hours at the most, but if you get it in that bundle with all those other games, then it's definitely worth it. So here you can see that the middle creature has been defeated and he's going to disappear, and I guess there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other ones on there. So that gives you an idea of how many fights you're going to have to work your way through. So I'm going to jump ahead a little bit now. I'm going to jump to the next part of the videos. So that's when I was talking to the Norn, the Norse seers of legend, and this is where it's giving me a bow and a sword and things, and teaching me more controls and giving me some supplies. So yeah, here I've got the sailcloth now, and you can see it's very Zelda-esque. Yeah, it's pretty good fun to control, and in the outside world here, the performance is still holding up nicely on the Steam Deck. So I would recommend this as a Steam Deck game to play. It won't take you long to play through it. Probably a couple of sittings if you don't get stuck. And yeah, it runs really well and looks nice. I expect it would look good on the Steam Deck screen as well. So after I got over here, there's quite a lot of rambling pathways. I wasn't sure exactly where I was going to start with. You can chop down trees with an axe and get wood, but that's less important, I think, in the non-survival mode. You don't really need the wood to repair your weapons if you've got weapon degradation turned off. You can make do with the sword that they give you. So on I go, collecting berries. Even on easy, I think it is important to sleep from time to time, because if you don't sleep, then your stamina depletes faster. So there are caves along the way, and I think one of them had a bedroll, and I used that to sleep. So there are these worms along this path that pop out, because I think in Shadow of the Colossus, other than the bosses, there weren't really any other enemies to speak of, but this game's a little bit different, where there is the occasional smaller enemies on the way to the main ones. So it does differ from its inspiration a little bit in that way. But here's the cave. I found some more supplies and another map, and I've rested. So on we go. I'm killing some more worms and things. So I think it's the third video before I actually find my way to where I'm supposed to be going. So let's keep going. through another cave, more mini worms. I've made it. So I don't survive all that long, I don't think, in this first time. But this boss is quite impressive to look at, nevertheless. And it's a giant worm, so those mini worms on the way were spawned by this thing. And this is the big mummy worm, I suppose. And it's going to shoot laser beams at me, or energy beams, whatever they are, and then it's going to fire sort of poisonous spore things at me. The poisonous things aren't too hard to avoid. The lasers are a bit more deadly, but if you roll at the right time or sprint, then you can get away from them. But to start with, it just took me some time to even work out how to get to him, so I could start climbing him and do some damage, because when he's reared up like this with his head in the sky, you can't climb on him. And I eventually noticed those pressure plates, which are key to the whole thing. So yeah, I'll probably show you me failing, and then I'll jump ahead to when I actually do manage to beat him, but maybe not the whole fight, because like the other one, it drags on for a while. So this is him firing off his poison spore things. Oh, you know what, I'm just going to jump ahead to when I beat it, because otherwise we'll be here all day. So let me have a look. I want to go back to show you how you get him to, how you actually hurt him. Anyway, you see those columns with the glowing balls on top? There's one there. What you basically have to do is run around the arena and step on the pressure plates to get those balls to go up in the air, and then you need to sort of bait him into firing the laser into those balls to make them glow. And when you've done all three, you then run back to this wall and you step on this pressure plate, and it creates a sound which hurts him and causes him to collapse like this. And then you quickly run into the water and swim over and grab hold of his back, and then you can start climbing him and finding the weak spots as normal. This took quite a while for me because I kept on falling off and having to come back up, and I wasn't entirely sure where the weak points are, but see, I've already fallen off there. But let's go ahead to, oh, this is me beating him. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, eventually I managed to get all of his weak points, and he exploded in a thing of light, and yeah, that's him done. And then yeah, I stuck around and saw what I needed to do next, and went back to the main hub again, and that's all I've played so far. So, but that was about an hour and a half of gameplay, really, condensed into about 20 minutes for you. So yeah, if you don't want to buy that whole bundle, maybe you've already got most of the games already, then the game is available on key shops for a couple of pounds. That's actually how I got it, because I saw the Humble Bundle and then noticed I already owned, I think, 5 out of the 8 games, and another one of them I wasn't really interested in. So I was curious about this game on its own, so I just looked it up, and Kinguin had it for a couple of quid, so I just got it on its own. But yeah, thank you once again for watching this episode, if you've got this far, and indeed any of the other episodes of First Look Fridays. Like I said at the start, this is the last episode for now, although I do intend to come back. But for the foreseeable future, I'm going to start focusing on the Commodore 64 stuff again. So I've got 2 episodes of Cover Tape Chaos Next Generation to catch up with, because I've got a bit lax in looking at those tapes as they've been coming out. So cover mounts, I mean, not tapes, and then I'm going to go back to looking at the classic Zap tapes after that, until I've run out of them. And I also intend to look at the fairly recent release of the Evercade Commodore 64 Collection 1, and there's also the Commodore 64 Collection 2 coming quite soon. So so I've got all of that to do, and then in between those I'm going to do some other things, probably some more Xbox videos, either backwards compatible games on the Series X, or just old 360 games that aren't backwards compatible and just are cool that I've checked out. And then there'll be some other things from time to time as well. But yeah, so that's the end of this video now. See you on the next one, and in the meantime, take care.